let's create the playbook. I'm not trying to put myself down, but let's say you're going to go against Andrew Tate in all of these areas, business, manosphere, and you're going to poke the bear. He's going to get up every fucking morning thinking, how am I going to take this cunt down? With all my resources, all my contacts, all my friends, everything. I'm going to attack this cunt to the point where he's going to not be able to sleep an hour at night. And there's so many cunts like that, bro. When you go to Miami, you meet these people. They're obsessed. They only want to talk about business. And I think it's going to be fucked to be your competitor. You're going to win because I know you don't do anything after work. While you're sleeping, you're thinking of your company. So if you don't have that relentless interest, you're fucked. It's the same with gangsters, bro. A lot of these guys, they used to come in to Perth. They think they can be kind, like kind drug dealers. And then these guys who have been there like, yeah, I see that you're kind, bro. Give me the kilos and the cash, eh? And then they get a threat. They don't consider the threat seriously. Boom, done. Because these people are relentless for territory, relentless to be top dog. So if you're a gangster and you're not willing to go the whole way, someone will. So that's just my little rant there on that.
I want to watch this booing video because I haven't seen it. Can we watch that?
The what?
The booing video that happened today.
Oh, it's not worth looking at.
No?
Nah, it's not. Everyone's seen it. In a nutshell, an Aboriginal guy, I believe, he looks like a half-caste, and he does the speech every year. I believe he did it last year. He had 1 or 2 boos last year. He says that before we begin this morning service, we pay homage to the people that were here before. It's my father's land, basically insinuating that we're all on stolen land here. This is not your country, all right? And he's not really beating around the bush either. And then he gets a heap of boos, obviously from white people, all right? There isn't much to talk about. This divide between the Indigenous Australians and the white Australians, it's been raging on ever since settlement. And it'll likely be that way until the government just says, listen, there's one flag. It's the Australian flag. It's not the Aboriginal flag. It's not the Torres Strait Island flag. This is who we are. That's it. Otherwise, the discussion or the beef will continue. Now, to be honest with you, it's really just a few boos. And then it's over. People forget about it the next day. They are a minority, the Indigenous people in Australia. And of the Indigenous people, a lot of them don't care at this point. They don't give a fuck. It's not that big of an issue. You're not hearing about Indigenous people committing fucking terrorism and shit. It seems like a big issue because people boo about it and argue about it, but mass scale violence, it's not really a thing. Yeah? But it's not good for the unification of Australia. Now, I suggested that if you really wanted, create a new flag. If you really wanted to create a society where everyone felt that they weren't left out, you'd create a brand new flag. But again, that would then, piss off the conventional Aussie, and it would just probably end up more of the same thing. You can't do that in societies where there's too much multiculturalism. Because deep down, the Aboriginal people don't consider themselves Australian. Deep down, the Indian people don't consider themselves Australian. And you're always going to have that. And the Muslims, they follow Sharia law before they do your Western democratic law. Not all, but some of them do. And they're not shy about it. This is not me paraphrasing. I'm talking word for word. There are clips out there on the internet. Sharia comes first. Simple.
Yeah, I didn't see that. But I mean, white people are booing an Aboriginal?
Yeah, because he said that we're here on stolen land, basically. He insinuated. My father's land. Okay. Barangara people or something. I couldn't pronounce it.
It's just broke people's shit.
It's low shit.
Do you want to talk about the war? Because there is breaking news, and I don't think you've seen it either.
What's the breaking news?
U.S. envoy Witkoff and Kushner heading to Pakistan tomorrow for negotiations with Iran.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call that breaking news, bro.
I mean,
they've done this, twice now?
21 hours the first time, by the way. They got Trump on the phone 12 times.
And got nothing done.
Yeah.
I would be betting, if I was a trader, that the negotiation does not end up with an outcome that GCC states and the US are happy with. because Iran's demands are clear as day, bro. They are not going to accept. And if they do accept, unfortunately for our brothers over there in the UAE, it's not going to be good news for the UAE. Now, this is less discussed. Remember, we discussed that most people are not Machiavellians. They can't see 10 steps ahead. Bro, I want this to be true. You know, I want to say the best things about how Dubai is back, the GCC is unaffected, and I would not be ruling out the UAE. That's not what I'm saying. But the unfortunate nuanced answer is that the ceasefire is considered an uncertain time. And large capital investors, many of them, not all, are not going to consider the GCC as a place for foreign direct investment until there's certainty. If the Strait of Hormuz is closed, even if it's reopened tomorrow, even if negotiations come to an agreement where there's no more missiles being thrown at one another, if there's a lingering threat over the UAE or the GCC states that Iran may play up again or the US may invade Iran again, then capital investors are going to think about the next 5 years and 10 years, not fucking 5 days. People celebrate too early, bro. Bro, I'm seeing it right now in Dubai. I'm seeing the legacy media. Oh, people are coming back to Dubai. It's done. We're back. Bruh, can you give it a bit? Can you at least give it a bit before you celebrate? No, really. Have you seen this shit lately?
Of course.
I'm like, no shit, the flights are back, bro. It's a ceasefire. The flights are back everywhere. There's no missiles being thrown, cunt.
Can you give it a bit?
Just give it a bit, mate, before you
bit?
celebrate prematurely. Relax. Relax.
Everybody wants answers now.
They want answers now.
Conclusions.
Oh, man.
Now.
Delayed gratification isn't a thing with most people. Now, I understand when legacy media throws these things in the space, because the truth is, you want the truth from me, guys. I love my brothers over there in the UAE. And I'm not saying that in a way that like sounds kiss-assy. I'm saying that in the sense that after 11 years in Indonesia, I did not form relationships with Indonesians like I did Emiratis in a year. I didn't. There is a closeness in the UAE that I have that I don't have in Australia, where I grew up my whole life. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of these brothers over there in the UAE have hyper-successful businesses. And I'm not going to say who, obviously. And they all told me, brother, don't listen to what you see on mainstream media. As far as tourism goes, it's fucking dead right now. Okay? Guys, okay? Does that mean that people have stopped investing in real estate? No. A lot of people are picking up dips. Actual sales numbers are probably very similar. But if you think you're going to get bamboozled by some influencer that's telling you it's nothing, it's back to normal, everywhere's packed, you're fucking delusional, bro. It's not. I'm not getting this report from one friend, two friends. I've got many clients that are there right now. I have a residency there. I'm giving you the honest, in the middle truth. Have your friends reported to you something similar?
Yeah, my friends have said it's quiet, and it should be. There's tensions increasing, so people should be wary. And I think Dubai has had such an amazing run that it's kind of good that it shakes out some of these guys that came that even the UAE people didn't want there. So it's going to make a V-shaped recovery. When? I don't know, but Dubai is too strong to fail. But yeah, and look, we're going to summer. No one really goes there. Like, you know, all the Emiratis even, they go to London and everything like that. So I think see the summer through, see what happens with negotiations, and then it will come back for sure. It's too big to fail ever. That should never be in the discussion.
And why? Do you want to talk about economics? Why? Should we get into some objective?
Go. Take it away.
The reason why it's very unlikely for Dubai to fail is twofold. It's multiple fold, but we'll talk about two things. Now, Dubai is part of the UAE and Abu Dhabi is part of Dubai. And Abu Dhabi and Dubai have their own sovereign wealth funds, and they reinvest surplus in their economy into other assets around the world. So for example, Dubai and Abu Dhabi invest in American tech companies. That means that even if the GCC is shut down, they're making money as a means of those investments within their sovereign wealth funds that are investing in industry outside of the UAE. Okay, that's number one. Now, their sovereign wealth funds are massive. They're not trivial. I believe it's number 3 or 4 in the world. We're talking about trillions here. Okay? That's the first thing. So the runway they have, even if they were to sell off assets within their sovereign wealth funds tomorrow, it's years at this rate.
Yeah.
You have to keep in mind, guys, that there's only 1.2 million Emiratis-ish. All right. So per person, what they have if they were to liquidate sovereign wealth funds and their foreign reserves, you have to understand that each citizen would have like $2 million. They could go forever. They could all theoretically leave Dubai, live around the world, and then come back and have enough money to do so without working. That is how rich they are per capita. That is how intelligent the leadership were, not only at extracting the most they could out of their hydrocarbons, out of their energy, so oil, but then reinvesting those profits into a post-energy economy. And Dubai right now is considered a legitimate post-energy economy. Legitimately. Tourism, aviation, services, manufacturing, real estate. You have to understand they've got more than just oil. Now, on the topic of oil, although they can't go through the Strait of Hormuz, there are other pipelines. Now, the reason I'm not going to talk about a lot of the other pipelines, I don't want that to be considered a potential infrastructure target. You know, so I've been thinking about, if I talk about what I know about the GCC geographically, what if that gets into the wrong hands of someone that considers that a threat? Did you ever think about that? Because these strategies, I'm sure, Iranian regime officials are actually looking at some of these analysts talking about ways that Iran could target them and thinking, oh, that's a good idea. Fuck, I didn't think of that. Even though they probably know, I'm not going to talk about that, but there are other pipelines whereby some energy can get out. And if some of that energy can get out, because the oil price, because the Brent crude, that actually adds a bit of a buffer because they're making more money on that profit there. Although they can't get as much out, that is a bit of a buffer. Now, they also have foreign reserves. And what I mean by that is they actually have cash on hand. So even if markets were to dump and the sovereign wealth fund total portfolio was to go down with regards to its value in US dollars, they've got US dollar and equivalents in cash, just sitting there to deploy for these resilience packages, which they have been doing to keep their domestic economy afloat. Now, is it true that tourism is quiet? Yes. But they have a domestic economy, a local economy in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, and other Emirates, which means that for people living in Dubai, life is just about as per normal. Sure, you're going to see reduced menus at certain restaurants, maybe some businesses have closed, but anything that required residents to transact with other residents, it's still there. Your gym's still there. Talabat food orders is still there, okay? So unless we see a barrage of missiles and drones come into the UAE and legitimately hit civilians or civilian infrastructure, then life goes on per normal, just at a reduced rate with regards to tourism, and I would also say import re-export, because those ports there, I'm not going to say which ones again, are within that strait, although there are some other ports and other pathways they can get things out. Okay, so does that make sense? Do people understand that places like the UAE don't suffer from Dutch disease in the way that places like Bahrain does? Bahrain's in debt anyway to other GCC nations, literally. Mm-hmm. Do you understand that Dubai especially, or the UAE especially, is far more diversified and far more insulated than other GCC nations? It's not Qatar, which quite frankly is up shit's creek without a paddle. They've got their sovereign wealth funds, but their LNG op is on hold. It's a bad spot to be in. But guess how many citizens Qatar has? These petrostates are so rich per person. They've got like 300,000 people, bro. They could retire tomorrow. If Iran's like, you're done, your LNG and Qatar Airways op is done, they're like, cool, mate, we'll sail off to the sunset. We'll go live in fucking Turkey. They could, they're that rich, okay? Now, what does this mean for expats living there? Okay, some expats involved in tourism, in real estate, are going to have to ship the fuck back home. But guess what? Dubai says, when you're ready, come back. We'll be here, we're waiting, you pay your trade license, you pay your Emirates airline flight, and things come back to normal pretty quickly because they don't rely on that many people to sustain this economy within Dubai.
You asked me how my friend, like what are my friends saying in Dubai? You know, Dubai, the Dubai that we see now is very different Dubai from pre-COVID Dubai. It was a lot more local. there was only a handful of restaurants that everyone went to, and everyone would see the same faces and say hi, and it was like a community feel. Now they've got more beach clubs per capita than anywhere in the world. And they've got all these different restaurants. Now nobody really sees each other because there's so much shit to do. You could go to every single restaurant and just not see all of it by the end of the year. So everyone's saying it's going back to the community feel that we really liked. But we know it's temporary. People are going to come back and start making it busy again. But that's the feedback that I'm getting.
Yeah, and pre-COVID, I believe that was before the golden visa option. Is that correct? And it's also before the Ukraine-Russia war. So obviously you had a lot of nationals come from Russia, Ukraine, and the affected areas. And that direct investment from that war was beautiful because Dubai marketed itself as a neutral location. You can come here, your capital is safe. And that signaled to the world that, hey, if America can sanction Russia, they can sanction anyone. Dubai is a bit of a safe haven with regards to that. Now, my boxing coach is here.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap it up.
All right, everybody.
Cool.
Thank you for the questions today. Bye, everybody.